Hello, Internet, and welcome to my review for Fairy Tail episode 293. We last left off, we had several fights with some fairly forgettable brigades, and Urza and Agil finished their match as a well-placed Jupiter shot from Bisca gave Urza the time she needed to lay the final blow on Agil, solidifying the theme of friendship and family taking up, dominating over the single, very, one-on-one approach of the Alvarez Empire. And yeah, so, we open up right in the aftermath of that, as Urza falls from the destroyed, skyship, and Natsu saves her, and the whole sequence feels very reminiscent of the end of the Key of the Starry Sky arc, when Natsu saves the falling Lucy, right? That's what happened, right? I have very vague memories of that. I last saw it over 6 years ago. It's been a long time since that arc came out, and I've not seen it since I first watched the anime many years ago when I was just starting high school. But yeah, Natsu saves Urza in a scene that feels very much like the end of Key of the Starry Sky. It's a nice sequence, but it's Urza. What we do know is that for the moment, Urza is out of it. Which is understandable. She did fall from a ship and get beat the shit out of her by Agil before she finally took over. But it was a lot for her to take. So I understand her taking some time off for a little while. But then we have to get to the biggest smirch on this episode's good name, the hay fever incident of 2015. So, as we all saw, Brandish is rendered unable to fight because the Sand World kicked up the pollen in Magnolia, and she has pollen allergies. Brandish does a lot later on, and I love Brandish's role in the arc as a whole. This is just a stupid scene. So there is one thing that might be in the anime version's credit. I don't remember if this particular bit was in the manga or not, but last week, Evergreen made some mention of the Sandworld spell reminding her of Magnolia's pollen problem. But you know what? Even with that, the scene is just so bad. It's so stupid. It's like the Spriggan are supposed to be the baddest of the bad. You know, they kick ass. They are borderline unstoppable. Brandish has been shown to be borderline unstoppable. She can just fucking shrink islands, you know? And, I'm not normally one to harp on power matching. I think the obsession in anime fandom of, is this character stronger than the other in, pure strength, is just an annoying, it's a boring thing to base your series on. I don't know how much of it is to blame, is Dragon Ball's, power level system, but, I don't know. The whole, whose power level is higher than the other is something I've never been a fan of at all. I think it's actively hinders the ability to tell a good story. But this is just too stupid, okay? When I say I don't like power matching, I mean, the idea of scrappy, weaker characters using their wits or their teamwork to take on stronger characters is good storytelling. Not Lucy and Kana win because Brandish gets sick. It's so stupid. It is actively stupid, and I think it's just there as a way to get Brandish into Fairy Tail HQ, where she'll spend the next part of the arc. The next time preview spoils that, so don't feel too bad about saying that. But even still, there has to be a better way to get it to work. Maybe she offers to parlay to discuss more about Layla. I don't know. There had to be some way to get it to work besides she gets sick. Luckily, Brandish is still around. She is not out. That should be obvious from how much I've talked about how much I love Brandish's character. She's not dead like this. So it's not like they permanently took down a Spriggan just like that. So yeah. Anyway, moving on to the weakness soldiers. I find that, the whole Wall creates soldiers, tailored for his opponent's weaknesses to be really cool, and it's used in a lot of interesting ways, throughout this episode. But Mira's weakness is so dumb. She just can't fight somebody who has the head of Elfman. And admittedly, they do get around this. It's not like Brandish, where she's just out. Mira eventually goes to fight, the Lisana's, weakness soldier. But it's still dumb, and it just kind of compounds on top of the dumbness of the Brandish plot this week to just really frustrate me. But anyway, moving on to what I think is the best part of the episode. The Thunder God Tribe, and Ichiya, who shows up, because Ichiya is a fucking legend, to fight Wall. And one thing I really want to talk about in the arc as a whole at this point is that I want to praise it for not falling into that kind of Naruto-style trap of, like, giving everything in the plot to, like, the 5 main characters, while the rest of the cast just kind of watches from the sidelines. And I think that's kind of a result of the, in my opinion, mixed storytelling trope that Machinima engages in throughout Fairy Tail, having a new villain group every arc. Because, like, while it does make most of the villains a tad, like, one and done, unlike Naruto, where, like, you knew some of the villains for years and years. I'm going to be comparing it to Naruto here for just a little bit, as not a long comparison. Unlike, so while, you know, Naruto villains you knew longer, you knew people like Madara, like Obito for longer, except for Kaguya. Kaguya fucking sucks. Anyway, because there are just so many villains in every arc, it's not like by the end of Naruto there were like 2 or 3 villains left, you know, but here there are 12 villains, which gives plenty of opportunity for seeing like the B-list Fairy Tail cast, you know, not even like the Strauss siblings who don't do too much, but are still around, but even characters we've not seen do anything since I don't even know when. Like, we had Bisca last week, who her last important main arc role was Battle of Fairy Tail, maybe? She might have done a little bit fighting some Tartaros soldiers. Or the Thunder God Tribe, who at least had an excuse for their being useless during Tartarus. They were kind of, like, near dead. But they all take center stage in fights against the 12, or Bisca is, like, slightly off stage, but I'm going too deep into a metaphor, I should never do that. But now we have one of the weirdest plot points in maybe all of Fairy Tail. There's just an never-before-mentioned race of machine people, and it's not like they're unknown, you know? Fried knows something about the Machias, and he says something about, like, I knew the Machias could do this, but I didn't know it went that far. So it's not like Fried is just, it's not like the Ishgarans are just unaware of the existence of the Machias, but they were just never mentioned, because as much as I love Firomashima, world building is not his specialty. You know, there was just a completely random Western continent that was big in the world's lore like 3 years before the series begins, that he never mentions. That's never mentioned by anybody. World building is not Majima's strong suit. Let's just leave it at that. But anyway, he summons some weakness soldiers for Bixlow and Evergreen, and as all hope seems lost, he appears. The man, the myth, the legend, Ichiya Vandalay Kotobuki, my man. I am an unironicIchiya fan. He is super funny. He is super, like, also he always somehow comes out on top. Ichiya's a great guy. I love him. But with that, Wall instantly goes to, like, try to find Ichiya's weakness, because that's his whole thing. And it leads me to my next point. Well, all of the fights this week have had something of Machima's comedy interfering with, like, the seriousness of the plot around it, both with Brandish and the hay fever, and Mira and the whole Elfman head thing, while being, like, unable to create a weakness soldier for Ichiya because Ichiya is just too fucking weak, is probably the only instance of this that really works. For starters, it's an interesting showcase of Wall's roboticness. He's unable to use any kind of, like human heuristic that would allow him just, like, pick a weakness to use on Ichiya and, like, go from there. That's the first good thing about this joke. Also, it's the only comic bit that doesn't instantly render a main fighter useless just for the sake of, like, some cheap laughs. So it works. It's a really funny bit, even if it means that Ichiya just get, like, tossed around for a while. I don't quite know, because by the episode's climax, he goes to his, like, full, like, powered up, like, max man form. I don't know why he doesn't do that from the beginning, because he seems to be able to, but whatever, it's fine. And then anyway, as Ever and Bixlow are struggling with their weakness soldiers because they try to stop Wall from going straight for free, but then the weakness soldiers get back in their way. The other group, Gray, Julia, and the Strausses, are like, yeah, you can just, like, swap the ones you're using and beat them real fast. And it's an old trope, and it's simple, but, like, it works. It makes sense. I don't particularly, it's not something I, like, love to death, but it's a good thing to see. And then Ichiya and Freed just once, Natsu tells them that the Western army that Freed was keeping up the enchantment for is just already dead. Freed lets go of the thing and goes into his Dark Ecriture Darkness form. And Ichiya and Freed just, like, destroy Wall. And I remember, I think, when this came out in the manga, the reveal that wasn't the real Wall was the chapter after that happened, I think it was. I remember people were pissed about this. And, like, I'd be a lot more upset too, but we did find out that was just a fake body that the real Wall was using, and it was a bit of a Pyrrhic victory, as we did lose the Thunder God tribe. We do not find out if they are dead this episode, but they are out of it for a good while, if they are not dead. It seems too random to really think that they're dead, because this is Fairy Tail, and Fairy Tail's always been a little light on death. And so, like, having them die in such a snap of the finger way would be kind of lame, or not kind of anticlimactic. So it's safe to assume they're not dead. But the episode does not tell us. So I know, because the manga does reveal their eventual fate. But I'm not going to tell you. Anyway, and then as the real Wall has this giant-ass laser beam from 400 kilometers away that's headed straight towards the Fairy Tail HQ, Ichiya blocks it by, like, remote control, like, slinging the Christina in its way, leaving the Christina destroyed. And with that, Ichiya invites the rest of the continent to join the battle against Alvarez. Cue credits. As I mentioned before, with all of the character of not sidelining your B-rank characters for your finale, Fairy Tail just goes all in on having everyone in the fights. And it's a great part of Fairy Tail, I'm not gonna lie. It's one of the reasons why I am a fan of this arc. This arc got a lot of hate in the manga. In the end, I think it all kind of balances out to be good. It's a far cry from Fairy Tail's best, but I think this is still a good arc. And I think the inclusion of characters from, like, all ranks of importance into the fights is one of the reasons it works so well. But yeah, in the end, this was a pretty good episode. It still has the hay fever incident, which is just one of the low points of Fairy Tail as a whole. It's just so actively stupid. But the puppet wall fight is fun, even if it ends too quickly, and it has a genuine cost, with the incapacitation, if not death, of the Thunder God tribe to save Ichiya. And we can debate if it's worth them giving up at least their fighting ability to save Ichiya, but that's not the point. So in the end, this was a fun, but not great episode. Next time, though, most of the guild takes a moment to recoup after the night of battle, but not Natsu, who goes barreling in to fight Zeref. So yeah, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the episode and the video. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe or do whatever the fuck you want. I don't really care. And as always, people, keep kicking ass, and I'll see you in the future. Bye!